Now it is my very great pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Pieter van Schalkwyk, CEO of XMPRO, who is an active member in the Digital Twin Consortium and serves as the chair of our Natural Resources Working Group.
Thank you, Meg. Thank you for the introduction, and welcome everybody. Today we'll be covering the value of composable digital twins, a new concept, and what I'll do is explain why we need composable twins, then what are they, and how do we get value from those. So with that, in terms of why we need them, the change that we've seen over the last 250 years is the same that we will see in the next 10. And this is according to Pieter, who's a leading futurist working for many of the large governments across the world on change and what the impact of technology is. Now, that is a really scary thought, but I think what is more impactful is actually that, and looking at this Gartner radar for emerging technologies, the future is actually not that far away. If we look at the things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, things like AI, digital twins, and these, the point in time where they are getting to maturity is less than 8 years ago. Now, in large corporate environments, 8 years is nothing. So the future and the change that we're seeing and the impact of that change is not that far away. It's actually already here for us. I think the other thing that drives a lot of the agility and things that we need is the fact that companies don't last that long. If you look at the average lifespan of a company in the 1950s to now, doing from 75 years to 15 years. So the other thing that we see is that 52% of Fortune 500 companies that were there in 2000 are not there anymore. If you remember how Blockbuster got Netflix. So the accelerated speed of change and the dynamics have a significant impact on businesses. The way that we got to the point where we are right now, we could use large-scale monolithic type applications like ERPs and CRMs that were really big and complex because it was a lot more predictable and stable. Where we are right now in terms of the future, and we've seen that over the last 2 years, there's a lot more unpredictable change happening. And for that, we need something which is more agile, innovative, and allows for experimentation. So the traditional kind of monolithic, large-scale applications where we build out this whole big application, not really suited to the approach that we see going forward. And to that point, Gartner put out this as kind of advice to some of the clients around the approach that should be taken for building applications in future, and where there's a constant shift in terms of user demand and the landscape, and that actually grows exponentially as we saw with that graph. And application leaders should demand adherence to composable enterprise architecture in their business applications. So what does that mean? And I'll touch on a few slides from Gartner. It's not just them. Most of the analysts have, and leading architecture groups have a similar view on this. They just call these composable business applications in their world. But really what we see is a framework where we have the data infrastructure, the bottom applications, mostly the legacy things that we see in organizations kind of on the outside. And then there's the application composition platform that sits at the top. But what's most important is that we have these components in the middle, which are called packaged business capabilities. So how can we package some capabilities together, either from an application point of view or a data point of view, analytics point of view, and create these reusable components so that we, in an application composition platform, that we can compose these application experiences. And the way that they look at this is across a broad range of financials, operations, human resources, across all applications, to be able to build these to be more focused and applicable to the kind of organizations and the agility that we have going forward. If you look at a specific example on the analytics side, so the packaged business capability for analytics, for example, would be taking analytics capabilities from information side, from analytics, and from a data science, and maybe you package those together as a service, which are then reusable to be able to compose it into an application. If we look at what those look like, so if we have, for example, an application packaged business capability, that could be very like patient purchase order product, very simple. On having a digital twin package business capability around the physical asset, that might be the vehicle, the turbine, infection detector itself, what you're building the twin around. If you look on the analytics side, a package business capability on analytics might be the infection rate prediction. Now you could use this in multiple different applications, or credit rating. I could use that for multiple different applications when I compose it, but it would be the same capability that I'm reusing that fraud detection, those. So this just gives some examples that sit across all the applications in an organization, and this is a composable enterprise approach. The way that we look at that is it's almost like these Lego bricks or bricks that the kids use to build. You can build what is out on the outside of the packet, but you can also reuse the same blocks and build a completely different application. Now, in this instance, this is a racing car, but I could reuse many of these components to build a off-road vehicle or a 4x4 vehicle. I would maybe only need a few other parts, but there's a number of these blocks that I can reuse when I build or when I compose a new different application that is fit for purpose. The other interesting thing around this analogy is that if I look at the drivetrain on this, the motor, the gearbox, and everything actually comes pre-assembled. So that packaged business capability is something that I can just reuse irrespective of my application. So it's a very similar analogy that we're looking in terms of how do we compose digital twins using being able to reuse components and packaging it up beforehand. The moving into digital twins, one of the things that we see with digital twins is that they can start off with a very simple, discrete, low-level digital twin, like a gearbox. But that gearbox actually is part of in this instance, on a mining site, it might be a ball mill. So it is a component in a more composite environment, and that ball mill now fits into a whole processing plant. So as complexity increases, you can only get that scalability by using a composable approach in putting this together. Otherwise, the structure of these become extremely large and complex to manage. Now, to that point, again, Gartner predicts that by 2025, 25% of large enterprises will be managing 1,000 digital twin templates. So basically, the structure of what your gearbox represent, what it looks like. To oversimplify it, but the digital twin template, and then 1 million digital twin instances. Thinking about how to manage that and maintain the integrity of that, if you don't use a scalable kind of a composable approach, it is a really challenge that needs to be managed and addressed. And it's not just the digital twin itself, but it's the whole ecosystem that it fits into. So these things don't work in isolation. That gearbox needs to work in collaboration with some of the other components that goes into that matrix. So the composability is not just around the discrete element, but also how do the whole ecosystem components fit together? How do I make sure that racing car gets into that environment that it needs to fit into. So looking at how we value this in terms of the impact of not just composable digital twins, but digital twins at a larger scale, using the World Economic Forum's approach to what is the value at stake. So the main classifications that I'm just going to put all of these up here for looking at the operational things that we do or that we recognize, like value migration. It's kind of creating new services, new applications, marketplaces for these package capabilities, but also the value addition metric, which is around the actual operational things like reducing inefficiencies, lowering cost. So that's all for the specific environment and, the specific industrial operational activity. So whether we're creating new services, whether we reducing cost, increasing throughput, all of those. And those are very definitive measures that you can, or quantifiable measures that you can describe in terms of what the value of that what is, and by being able to do it quicker, so improved agility. So when we're getting to what they refer as the value at stake for society, when we start looking at the impact of process savings, decision support, the skills that are being created. And one of the important things here is the approach for a composable twin. It enables subject matter experts like engineers, geologists, physicists, people like that who are not developers but are subject matter experts with a technical background. It allows them to be able to compose these and build out those. So you're creating new skills and new capabilities. And then in terms of the impact around ESG on the environment, safety, and all of that. So one of the ways that we look at how do we describe the value of a digital twin, but more specifically, when we bring in the composability, how it impacts the agility and the speed and the reuse, and being able to use people who haven't done this in the past. Many of you are familiar with things like APIs and integration components. It's not that they're going away. It's not a whole new thing. We still use APIs. We still use integration components, but there's this layer in the middle, which is actually the composition technology, which is what puts these things together. This is how I compose the twin so that I can get that unique experience. So when we say unique experience, this is a specific use case in more technical terms. So if I have a very specific use case, I can compose an application experience that is specific to that. It doesn't have to, it's like a CRM system. I can have one element that addresses specifically what I need rather than 80% of the application that's never used, but I still pay for that. Looking at bringing this into digital twins, where these business capabilities or package business capabilities, we see kind of 6 areas where the data or the infrastructure or the information for that comes from. And if you're interested on the XMPRO website, there's a digital twins guide that describes this in more detail. But if we bring this now to what a digital twin composition or composable digital twin looks like, it's got the same data fabric where we have the model repositories, the source data from time series and from sensor data and IoT platforms and all the other applications that we have in our business, bringing that into those 6 different areas, and then the technology services to turn those into composable business capabilities, reading the information from legacy business as well as engineering and application systems, and then using a composition platform like this to put this together, and that would then, for the use cases that we are interested in. So if we're building a application around supply chain short-term inventory planning, or in smart water leak detection, or first pass yield optimization, composing these capabilities into that. From a XMPRO perspective, we have capabilities or solution set around this, where we bring where we provide the composability both on the integration side but also on the visualization side. So with that, I'll just give a quick example of what that would look like. So looking at composability, and this is really part of the composition platform, this is where the integration packaged capabilities would be. So on the left-hand side, I can drag some of these packaged capabilities on, and these are typically integration type packaged business capabilities, specifically around digital twins, so reading from different systems. Then managing the data, so data wrangling, and some of the I may even create functions or calculations or things like that as a package capability, something that is reusable. It may need a specialist at some point to create the initial one, but then it becomes a reusable component later on, a fast Fourier transformation or something like that, combined with some other intelligence, will give you a packaged business capability that can be reused if you're looking for bearing failure or signal processing or anything like that. So again, a packaged capability around how we manage the data. Talking to other systems and bringing in, for example, Azure Digital Twin, creating a package capability so that I don't have to code against that. So when I want to use Azure Digital Twin from Microsoft in my overall composition here, that I can drag on a block and reuse that capability. And again, I don't have to be a specialist Azure developer. I could be an engineer that is looking to build a predictive maintenance digital twin for a specific piece of equipment, and I could use this package capability to do that. Likewise with AI and machine learning, you could package some of those, as well as actions and recommendations in terms of how to respond to, or how to make the digital twin intelligent and make it responsive in the operational environment. So this just gives an idea of some of the capabilities that would that you could package together, but then using a composition platform to actually wire this all up in a specific sequence. Likewise with on the front end side, so that is on the back end, getting all the data in and setting up the process flow almost of the digital twin. On this instance, on the front end, a similar environment where I can compose what the front end looks like, but I can then bring in this instance, visualization package capabilities. So whether I want to bring in mapping solutions or CAD solutions or anything like that, that I can reuse either the generic integration framework or a specific pre-configured set of rules that sit at the back of that. So agile, flexible, and visually driven approach to composing and building digital twins through these packaged business capabilities. No, the only one is again called, if anyone is interested in assisting us. As you can see, there's still a whole lot of work to be done in this space. It is new, but using a composable approach is the way to scale out. and reuse and make it accessible to end users. But we are only at the start of the journey, so we do need help and assistance in building this out. And your inputs would be very valuable. So from a Digital Twin Consortium, please join and join us on this journey as well.
Yes, we urge you to find out more about Digital Twin Consortium on our website, or reach out to our business development team for more information on membership. Thank you very much, Pieter, for your time today, and thank you for everyone who attended the webinar. Have a great day.